Daf Hashavua on Chanukah, the Yontif of Torah. We're lucky. Daf Testament base, Megillah, all the way on the bottom, the last Mishnah. And the Mishnah says, a little bit of an introduction. We mentioned last time when we were speaking about the Bamos that we were in Shiloh. The Mishkan was in different places, but it didn't have a set Mishkan with a real structure until except by Shiloh. In the other places, in Gilgal and Nov and Gibeon, we didn't have. But in Shiloh, where it was the main time when we had, for 369 years, where we had a real structure, so that was the time when we also had the Aron with us, and Karbanos had to be brought there, just like in the Beis HaMikdash, and there was no Bamos allowed. So the Gemara, the Mishnah is going to compare the time when the Mishkan was in Shiloh to when the Mishkan was in Yerushalayim. Just one other point, the Gemara is going to speak about that there was a time when we started building the second Beis HaMikdash. Then there was a time for 22 years when Ezra came up from Galus that there weren't walls in the Beis HaMikdash. We used curtains. We had structures. We had walls of the Beis HaMikdash, but there were curtains to separate all the different areas. So that's another point I wanted to mention. And one other point is that there's a pasuk in Devarim that says when Hashem tells us when we come to Eretz Yisrael, so he says all the different things we could do and we can't do. So he says there's a pasuk that the Gemara is going to bring down that says Ki lo basem arata al menucha vel anachla. You didn't yet come to the rules are a little bit different because you didn't yet come to the menucha, to the peacefulness, to the menucha of Shiloh, when the Mishkan was in Shiloh vel anachla, and to the inheritance of Yerushalayim. And we're going to learn out what is this? What's going to happen when we come to Shiloh and to Yerushalayim? So there's going to be 2 ways to learn that. 2 ways to learn the pasuk. 2 ways to learn the pasuk is our Mishnah is going to learn that it means you didn't yet come to Shiloh. Why did the pasuk say you didn't yet come to Shiloh? It should say, and to Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim came after Shiloh. It should just say you didn't yet come to Shiloh, because once you come to you can take a Gemara. Once you come to Shiloh, that's it, you came. So why does it say you didn't come to Shiloh? And you also didn't come later to Yerushalayim. So our Mishnah is going to learn that it's coming to teach us is that after Shiloh, even though there was a Kedusha in Shiloh, and that we weren't allowed to use Bamos, but after Shiloh, after the Mishkan of Shiloh was destroyed, and then we moved on, that Kedusha got lost. And it only came back when the Beis HaMikdash was built. So our Mishnah is going to learn that it's coming to tell us that there's a Kedusha in Shiloh, then we lose the Kedusha for another 57 years, and then when the Beis HaMikdash was built, then when the first Beis HaMikdash was built, then the Kedusha of the base, then the Kedusha comes back. The Kedusha comes back, and then, but after the Beis HaMikdash, our Mishnah is going to hold, you don't have Kedusha anymore. Okay, the Gemara is going to bring out a different sheet that's going to say no. Just like after Shiloh, the Kedusha got lost. That just like after Shiloh, you could have the Kedusha having back. The Gemara is going to say that there's going to be, you're permitted to have Bamos after Shiloh. So too, after Yerushalayim, you're going to be allowed to have Bamos. The Gemara is going to speak about that. Okay, with all those introductions, we'll be able to get through the Mishnah and the Gemara a little bit easier. Says the Mishnah. There's no difference between Shiloh and Yerushalayim, Ella except Shebeshiloh, in Shiloh, Ochlim Kachim Kalim, Umayser Sheni, you're allowed to eat the lesser karbanos, the Kachim Kalim, like personal shlamim or a carbon toda or things like that. Umayser Sheni, and the Maiser Sheni, which we separate from the crop and we bring up which year is the second, the fourth, and the fifth year, and we eat in Yerushalayim. You're allowed to, when the Mishkan was in Shiloh, you could eat it b'chol haroa. Any place where you could see, Rashi says where you could see Shiloh. It's a question if he means Shiloh the city or he means the Mishkan in Shiloh. So we're going to go that it means like other Rishonim, it means you have to see the actual Mishkan in Shiloh. So it says that when the Mishkan was in Shiloh, you had to see B'chol Haro. Only if you saw the actual Mishkan from that distance. Yushalayim and Yushalayim Lefnim and Achoma, you had to be inside the walls. B'kan, but in both Yushalayim and Shiloh, Kodshe Kadashim, the higher, the more higher holy karbanos, like the Asham Tzibur or the Chatas or like that, Nechol Mefinim and Akloim, both of those you could only eat that inside the curtains, inside the area of the courtyard of either the Mishkan or the Beis Hamikdash. Again, it says Kloim, it says curtains. Now, the Mishkan had curtains, Mishkan Shiloh. The first Beis Hamikdash didn't. Second Beis Hamikdash, Gemara is going to speak about that. It did for those 22 years. So it mentions Kloim because it's speaking about Mishkan Shiloh also. Okay. Kedusha Shiloh, now we're up to Daf Yud Amud Aleph. Yesh Achra Heter. Kedusha Shiloh, like I said in my introduction, Kedusha Shiloh has a heter afterwards. That why you could bring bamos, you could bring karbanos on personal bamos, personal karbanos, like we mentioned in the Mishnah before this Mishnah on Tesam Abayz. Ukedushas Yushalayim, and the Kedusha Yushalayim ain't achra heter. There's no heter, like it says, kilobasem ad ata to the menucha and to the nachla. To the menucha, it's mutter afterwards. Why do we mention nachla also? To tell us that after that there's no heter of bamos. Says the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Very interesting. There was a king. There was a Kohen Gadol before there was a king. His name was Shimon HaTzadik Kohen Gadol. And he had two sons, Chanyo and Shimi. And when Shimon HaTzadik died, he left over to his son Chanyo. But there was some politics between them, and Chanyo had to run away. He ran to Alexandria in Mitzrayim. And when he was there, he built a bias, some sort of sanctuary of some sort. And there he built a bama. He bought some sort of a personal mizbeach, and which was usher because it was still in the times of the Beis Hamikdash. According to everyone, it was usher. Now the question is that after the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, are bamos allowed, and then or are bamos not allowed? Now, if bamos are allowed, right, not like our Mishnah says bamos are not allowed, but if bamos are allowed, would you be able to bring a carbon in this sanctuary of Chanyo? So it depends. If Chanyo built it for Hashem, and it's all kosher place, even though he didn't have Beira by bringing it, but if it was a kosher sanctuary, then we would be able to. But if it was a bias for Avodah Zarah, then we wouldn't be able to. So if someone's going to turn around and say, like Rabbi Yitzchak's going to say from his Rabbeim, that you could bring karbanos after the Chanyo built it, not for Avodah Zarah, and he would hold that that the Kedusha of Yushalayim, that you're allowed to bring bamos even after Beis Hamikdash is destroyed. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Shomati, I heard from my Rabbeim, Shemakrivin bebeis Chanyo bizman hazeh. You're allowed to what? Bring karbanos in the Beis Chanyo during our times. Kasavar, it must be that he holds Beis Chanyo lav Beis Avodah Zarah. First of all, it's not a house of Avodah Zarah. The Kasavar, and he also holds Kedusha Rishona, the original Kedusha of the Beis Hamikdash. Kitchel L'shait, it was holy for that time, below Kitchel level. It doesn't keep its holiness. And since it doesn't keep its holiness, so then it loses its sanctity, then it's like the times when you're allowed to bring a bama. Because the whole reason you're not allowed to bring a bama after the Beis Hamikdash is if you hold that the Beis Hamikdash's holiness is still there. So you can't bring what? Can't bring any karbanos anymore because you have to. It always has to be in the Beis Hamikdash on that site of the Beis Hamikdash. But if you hold that the kedusha left, then so therefore Rabbi Yitzchak, in the name of his Rabbeim, must hold that the kedusha was not lost level. It wasn't in the future after the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. Dechsiv, like it says in the pasuk, ki lo basem arata el menucha v'anachla, the same pasuk that you didn't yet come to the menucha, to Shiloh v'anachla, and to the Beis Hamikdash. Menucha zu Shiloh, nachla zu Yushalayim, to Yushalayim. I'm sorry. Makish nachlo lemenucha. We compare nachla to menucha. Ma menucha. Take a Gemara, please, right there. Ma menucha yesh achra heter. Just like after Shiloh, you were allowed to what? bring bamos. You're allowed to bring personal kabbanos afterwards on a bama. Af nachla, so too by Yushalayim. Daniel, I should have invited you. Come every day. I'm sorry. Af nachla yesh achra heter. Even nachla, even after Yushalayim yesh achra heter, there is a heter afterwards. Amrlo. So they said to Rabbi Yitzchak, Amarta, did you really say this? Did you really say this? Amrlahu, lo, I didn't say it. Amar Rava, Rava says, Elokim, by Hashem's name, Alashon Shvua. Amra, he said it, Ugamirnallah, and I learned it, Minei, from him. Umay time akaderbe. So why did what? Rabbi Yitzchak, when he said he didn't say it, he meant he retracted. Why did he retract? Mishum Kashad Rav Mari. Because of a basic question, an obvious question of Rav Mari, Moshe. What's going to be the question? The question is, Rabbi Yitzchak can't say the opposite of a Mishnah. Kashad Rav Mari, the most of Rav Mari, because Rav Mari Eitan asked the following basic question. Kedusha Shiloh, it says in our Mishnah, Kedusha Shiloh, yesh achra heter. Kedusha Shulaim, ein achra heter. There's no heter afterwards. Straight up, not like who? Straight up, not like Rabbi Yitzchak and his Rabbeim. Ba'od, and actually there's another Mishnah, Tanan. Ba'od Tanan, we learned in another Mishnah, in Zvachim, Mishabol Yushalayim. Yeah, in Zvachim, Mishabol Yushalayim, when we came to Yushalayim, Netzra Bamos, Bamos became Aser, V'lo Hayalem Od Heter. It was never a mutter again. V'Yihaisel Nachla, and that's the inheritance that the pasuk speaks about. So now it comes out that that's why Rabbi Yitzchak retracted. Now Tosas has a kasha. What was he thinking? Of course, it's a Mishnais. And he also is going to have another kasha that we're about to say Tanoi, that there's a machlokas Tanoim about this. So why did Rabbi Yitzchak have to retract from what his Rabbeim said? We're about to say that there's actually a machlokas Tanoim about it, if this Kedusha later or before, and we'll see what Tosas answers after we see the Gemara. Says the Gemara Tanoi, it's really a machlokas Tanoim. Omar Rabbi Eliezer says, Shamati, I heard. Kishal Yubonim Beheichel. When they built here, the Heichel is just a general name for the Beis Hamikdash. When they built the Heichel, Beis Hamikdash, Osin, what does the Bach fit in? Kishal Yubonim Beheichel Asu Kloyim LeHeichel v'Kloyim Azar. This is what I was saying. It's talking about in the second Beis Hamikdash. For 22 years, they didn't yet finish. It took them time to finish the Beis Hamikdash, so they made makeshift curtains just like they had in the Mishkan in Shiloh. So it says Osin Kloyim LeHeichel v'Kloyim Lazar. They made curtains for the Heichel and they made curtains for the courtyard, but there was a difference. When they made it, they made sure to make it in a way. When they made it for the curtains for the Beis Hamikdash, they made it on the inside of the area. So when the builders actually build the walls, they won't have to go in. They can't go in. So they would build it on the outside of the area, right behind the curtains. But when they made the walls for the courtyard that they could go in, they made the walls on the outside of the boundary so that the workers could go in and build the wall on the inside. So says the Brisa, Ela shebeheichel, for the Beis Hamikdash bonemi b'chutz. They made the walls, they built the walls outside, past behind the curtains because they couldn't go in. Ubazar bonim ifnim, by the courtyard, they built it inside because they were allowed to go in. Now, the Gemara is going to learn, it's a little bit complicated, a little tricky here. The Gemara is going to learn the Havamina that the reason Rabbi Eliezer is telling us that they built curtains, why is he telling us they built curtains? Just random to teach us this? The reason he's telling us this is he's telling us they had to build the curtains. They couldn't wait for the real structure walls to come up, because when they built the curtains, that's how they rededicated the Kedusha of the Beis Hamikdash in order to be able to use the Mizbeach. Because since the Kedusha left after the first Beis Hamikdash, then when they reset up the Beis Hamikdash, they rebuilt the Beis Hamikdash, they had to make the Kloim in order to mekadesh the area. So you see already what he's going to hold. We'll see in a minute. On that, Rabbi Yeshua is going to say, Rabbi Yeshua, the first words of the line, Shomati, I heard from my Rabbeim, Shemakrivin, that what? That Shemakrivin, that they're allowed to bring karbanos, afal pi she'ein bias, even though there's no Beis Hamikdash there. Ochlim Shemakrivin, you're allowed to bring karbanos, afal pi she'ein bias. Ochlim kachi kadashim, and you're allowed to eat kachi kadashim, afal pi she'ein klaim, even if there are no curtains there. Kachi kalim, you're allowed to eat kachi Kachikal Maisasheni Afbishain Choma, you're allowed to eat Kachikal Maisasheni even if there's no walls. Why? The Kedusha of the first Beis HaMikdash stayed. So even if there weren't Kloim, even if there weren't Chomos, he's arguing now, the Gemara feels, on Rab Shimon, on Rab Eliezer. He's saying straight out, you don't need those walls. The Gemara understand that to mean that he's answering up, you don't need those walls because the Kedusha of the first Beis HaMikdash stayed. So even if there wouldn't be walls, you'd be allowed to bring the Karbanos. The Kitshal level. Michlal. So we could infer from here, Lav, Michlal, the Rabbi Eliezer, Savar, low Kitchalas level. We could infer that Eliezer holds it's not Kitchalas level, that there was no Kedusha. So you see there's a machlokis, this machlokis that our Mishnah had, that Rabbi Yitzchak was saying, different than our Mishnah, of whether it was a Kedusha or not later is really machlokis Tanaim. And that's why Tosas asked, why did Rabbi Yitzchak back off? Amalei Ravina Ravashi. And then Ravina Ravashi said, no, it's not true. There's no machlokas here. Mimai. Who said there's a machlokas? Dilma maybe. The Kuliyama Kedusha Rishon and Kitchel Shaita Kitchel Asalovo. Maybe everyone agrees that the Kedusha stayed. If the Kedusha stayed, why do you need the curtains? No, if the Kedusha stayed, what is each one saying? Umar Maida Shemile Kamar. And one Manda Amar is saying what he heard from his Rebbe. Umar Maida Shemile Kamar. And Rabbi Yeshua is just answering back what he heard from his Rebbe. He's not trying to say anything about that Rabbi, to infer that Rabbi Eliezer holds different than them. They're just arguing whether there were curtains, but they weren't arguing about the Kedusha. They could all hold that it was Kedusha. If you're going to ask, Kloim l'Rabbi Eliezer lamli, so why do you need the Kloim? I got finished telling you before that you need the Kloim to re-sanctify the area. Why to be allowed to bring the commandments? Why do you need the curtains? You only need it for the tznius. It was just, you put it there so you could have tznius, that you could have privacy in those areas. Says the Gemara, we have 5 more minutes. Elo kihani tanoi. We're going to steal some time today because of Hanukkah. It might be a little bit hard. By the way, anyone that's here or watching, tomorrow starts Dagadita tomorrow, so it gets a little bit easier. Whoever said Megillah was easy, these blot were definitely not the easiest. But tomorrow it's getting a little bit. It might be a little bit easier. Elo kihani tanoi. The Tanya, the Machlokes Tanaim is a different Machlokes Tanaim. We know we already mentioned that by Batei Arei Choma, that you're allowed, if you sell land, if you sell your house that was in a walled city from the times of Yeshua ben Nun, then you could only get it back, you could only buy it back for 1 year. You don't take it back within the first year, you lose it. Even after Yovel, you lose it, that's it. So what are these cities? Amar Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi says that Lama Manu Chachamim. Lama, I'm just looking back. The earlier Brisa says the Tanya Amar Rabbi Eliezer. The Girs is the Mishnah. The Tanan Amar Rabbi Eliezer. I don't remember what I said. Okay, so it says like this: the Tanya Amar Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi. Lama Manu Chachamim Meselu. There's a Mishnah in Erchin. There's a Mishnah in Erchin that lists that when Ezra came up with the Bnei Agola, came up back to Yerushalayim, it mentions 9 cities that they mentioned there that were Batei Orei Choma, that were walled cities from the times of Yeshua ben Nun. So why does it mention only those 9? Why does the Mishnah only mention those 9? The Shekeshalu B'nei Gola, when Ezra came up with the B'nei Gola, the people coming up from Golas by the second Beis HaMikdash, Matzu Aselu, they found these 9 cities. The Kitcham, they re-sanctified those cities in order to what? To give them halacha Batei Orei Choma, to give them halachas, re-give them halachas of Batei Orei Choma, because they lost it after the first Beis HaMikdash. Aval Rishonos Batu Mishabat Haaretz, but the first ones lost their kedusha. It got lost Mishabat Haaretz when the land lost its kedusha. Alma, we see straight up Kasavra kedusha Rishona, that the original kedusha Kitchel Shaita, it was holy at that time, below Kitchelas level, but the kedusha Rishayim doesn't stay. Once Beis HaMikdash is destroyed, you lose it. Uraminu, and I'll ask you a contradiction on that. Ask the Gemara. The Gemara is going to bring down a second Brisa, who's going to be the other Tana. It's going to start off with a little bit of a contradiction, because it's going to be the same Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, and we're going to switch off and say that one of them is not. But Romino will ask you a contradiction. I'm Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, the same Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi says the opposite. says like this in a different brisa. Did they only have these 9 cities that were walls from times of Shul Benon? Valo Kfar Nemar, it already says in Devarim, when it speaks about the Og Melech HaBashan, that when they came in, Shishim Ir Kol Chevel Argov, there were 60 cities in the area of Argov that belonged to Og Melech HaBashan, just to him alone. Uksiv, and it says over there, Kol Eila, all these cities, Arim B'tzuras Chomog V'oah, that they were fortified with big walls. So you see that there were at least 60 just for Og. And you tell me there were only 9? There were much more. Ella, Lama Manucham Masela, why they list these, must be, they listed these, when they came up, Matzu Elu, they found these Vikidshim. These are the ones they re-sanctified, like we said in the first brisa. But here the brisa is going to argue. Asking about Kidshim, re-sanctified it. Hashta, Amri, we're going to say in this very same brisa, asked the Gemara, this is the Gemara talking, Kidshim, slow down, parentheses. Hashta Amri, we're about to say, Lo tzricha l'kedusha, that according to this brisa, you don't have to re-sanctify it. Ella, rather, what does it mean? Matzuas elu manum. These are the 9 that they found, and that's why it's listed. V'lo elu bavad, but it's not only those alone. Ella kol shetal misoros biyadcha, but anything, any city that you have a tradition, me'avosecha, from your father, shemukabes chom yosef shumanun, that it was mukabes choma, kol mitzvahs halalu nogin, but all the mitzvos are knowing by it. Mipnei shekedusha rishona kitchel shait v'kitchel as level, because the kedusha stays. So the Kedusha stays. So we have in the first brisa from Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, Kedusha doesn't stay. We have in the second brisa from Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, Kedusha does stay. So the Gemara is just going to deal with that for 1 second. Kasha the Rabbi Shmuel, Ad Rabbi Shmuel. It's a question of Rabbi Shmuel, Ad Rabbi Shmuel. Answers the Gemara, Trei Tanoim Libe the Shmuel. It's 2 different Tanoim that say, everyone said the same way, let's say 2 people in a class could hear something from a Rebbe. One could say A, one could say B. It was 2 Tanoim, Al Libe the Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Yossi. Or I could tell you another answer. Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Yossi Amra, that this wasn't Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, but rather it was Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi. The Tanya, like we learned in a different brisa, Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi Amra Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi says Ashalo Choma. That what do we learn from the pasuk Ashalo Choma? That there is a wall. Afal Pisha Ein Lo Achshav, even though it doesn't have a wall now. As long as it had a wall before, then it keeps the Kedusha. So the second brisa, instead of it being Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, it's Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi, and therefore, just getting back to the original Gemara, the Gemara says now that this is the Machlokes Tanoim that we were referring to, whether Kedusha Rishona was also Kedusha La'asu Lavo or not. Thank you for coming, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful Chanukah and a wonderful day.